Hi, greetings from the Pacific Northwest. Bo here, doing a full-length video. Since I resumed kind of doing some videos on the side, I've just been doing shorts, alternating between Blue Light Special, which is I've got these black lights. I just thought that was kind of funny to, like the old Kmart Blue Light Special kind of deal. And I've been showing, I'm doing Hockey Card Night from Canada. It's a play on Hockey Night in Canada, showing off my hockey card collection. But it's Christmas Day, and I always get a little, here in the States it is, and I get a little nostalgic about, nostalgia overtakes us all from time to time. So I got to thinking about stuff, and I wanted to do a full-length video, a little history of the Animals. The Animals are kind of a band in the vinyl community, honestly, that I think go fly a little bit under the radar. They're underappreciated. There's, when we talk the British invasion, there's a lot of people focus on the beat, and rightfully so, on some of these other bands. The Beatles, the Stones get the lion's share of the attention, and then some of the more niche groups like my favorite, Small Faces, Zombies, Yardbirds. But the Animals were a really solid group, excellent group. Newcastle, I think. Don't quote me on that. I didn't do much research. I was trying to pull a lot of stuff. Remember, I do have a couple of little notes here on some stuff. They help me out. So you can see my eyes go down. Yep. Memory's going, so I'm looking at a couple of notes I made here and there. But started off rhythm and blues, like a lot of those groups did, covering rhythm and blues stuff from the States, and then kind of developed their own material. The thing with the Animals was the tune that launched them, that put them over the top, was an old folk song that nobody's even sure who wrote it. So it was out there in the free domain stuff, right? And it was House of the Rising Sun. And it became huge. Well, they were all going to take credit for arranging the song. And apparently, this is all legend, rumor, okay? Alan Price, keyboard player, said, I'll go down, I'll take care of it. Well, rumor is that he gave himself all the credit, so he got the lion's share of the money that was paid. I know the Animals had trouble, too, back then with management stealing their money, like a lot of groups back then. For the monster hits that they were putting out, they did not make a lot of money. And this is not their first album, but this, because I've purged a lot of records here over time, so I don't have a lot of records left. But the Animals are a group that I have a lot, that I do at least have a few records from. This is the greatest hits. This kind of highlights a lot of their early stuff. This is a band. This is why I'm doing this today, because the nostalgia thing. This is a band I was introduced to by my father. He had this, I believe it was this very album he had on 8-track, and he played this a lot. It was one of his favorite groups from his high school and beyond days. So we listened to this a lot. So the original lineup, of course, Alan Price on keyboards. You had Chas Chandler on bass, Hilton Valentine on guitar, John Steele was the drummer, and Eric Burden, of course, the lead singer. House of the Rising Sun. Another song I learned about through my dad too was We Gotta Get Out of This Place, which was featured in a lot of in the 80s, there was a lot of refocus on the Vietnam War and Vietnam veterans. In the 70s, anything that had to do with Vietnam had kind of reflected them in a bad light. In the 80s, it kind of started to shift and change. And one thing that made a lot of those TV shows and movies popular was the tie-in to the music. A lot of featured music, and a big one, because it was the theme song to the Vietnam War for a lot of those guys that were there, was We Gotta Get Out of This Place. And that's what this greatest hits comp has got. It's got House of the Rising Sun, I'm Crying, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, It's My Life, and I'll Do What I Want. It's just a great band. So this kind of represents their earlier stuff. I do have left Animal tracks. I used to have this UK from my friend Jason too, but I don't know what happened to it. I cannot seem to find it. I hope that didn't get purged on accident. So if it did, Jason, I apologize. I'd be showing that. This has got We Gotta Get Out of This Place. I'm trying to see what else is on here. The Story of Bo Diddley, which is kind of weird, but I like it. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. The Club of Go-Go. So this early stuff, this kind of R&B stuff, they kind of started to branch out a little bit and write some of the more of their own material. And then you go into Animalization, which has got CC Rider, and I love that song. I think it's Hey Jip on this one. Let me see here. Let's see. Inside Looking Out's on here. You're on My Mind. Oh, the cover I Put a Spell on You. So they're still doing some covers here. It's about this time too where John Steele leaves the group and Barry Jenkins joins as the drummer. So they're already starting to fracture a bit, you know, because they're not making much money. So that happens, and then also Alan Price, after House of the Rising Sun, I forgot to mention that he leaves, and Dave Rowenberry, he joins, and he's actually a bit better of an organ player. Alan Price would say that he had an issue with travel, the travel and the commitments. He didn't much care for, so that's why he left. Dave Rowenberry is a better organ player in my opinion too. So this is Animalism. Maybe this has got Hey Gyp, and Donovan does a really good cover of Hey Gyp as well. I do prefer the Animals version. It's a little grittier, it's a little dirtier. They also cover Hit the Road Jack. Shake they cover on here. Lucille, Smokestack Lightning, which every good British R&B kind of band did a good cover of. At this point in time, the Animals, they come apart. They come apart at the seams. They were contractually obligated to do one more album, and there's nobody left but Eric Burdon. So, and I used to have this record. It's one I purged for sure, and that's Eric Is Here. It's kind of his take on crooner stuff. It's not good. I purged it. He goes to the States. Eric Burdon goes to the States, and he's at Monterey. He's at the Monterey Pop Festival, and he kind of sees the light, the psychedelic music, right? You know, Jimi Hendrix. You know, and Chas Chandler, when he left, he became, I think he became, did he produce some of his records, or he became Jimmy's manager? Maybe it was Jimmy's manager. So he kind of sees that, hey, psychedelic stuff is the way to go. He pens the songs San Francisco Nights and Monterey. He goes back to England, reforms. So it's Eric Burdon and the New Animals. And let me see, that's got Barry Jenkins comes with him. So it's the two of them, John Weider, Vic Briggs, and Danny McCullough become the New Animals. And musically, instrumentally, these guys are even better than the original Animals. This is a really solid group of guys, right? So this is the album Winds of Change. I think this is the first album with Eric Burdon and the New Animals. They do their cover of Paint It Black. They do it just enough differently than the Stones. I like it a lot. Yes, I'm Experienced. Of course, San Francisco Nights. Hotel Hell is on here. Good Times, which my friend Alan, I know you're not a big fan of that song. I like Good Times. He doesn't like the part, the bar scene where it kind of, the music drops out and there's that talky part in there. That's the part that bothered him. But San Francisco Nights is on here. Good Times, Anything. So you've got this. Then they follow that up with The Twain Shall Meet. And this is the one that has Monterey on it. Yeah, Monterey, Sky Pilot. You know, the one song that I don't have, because it was just a single here in the States, it's not on any album outside of a Greatest Hits. I think it's Greatest Hits 2 that they do, or More Hits, is When I Was Young. That's actually my favorite song by the Animals. And it's from this era of the Animals. But so here these guys are, they're doing some psychedelic stuff. It's about this time in 68 that, let's see, I think, who drops out first? I think it's Danny McCullough drops out, and Big Zoot Money, he joins. And Zoot Money can play other instruments too, so he's doing a bunch of other stuff. So then you've got Every One of Us. And this has got the great song White Houses. I love that song. Uppers and Downers. This is kind of an underrated album. Now, the side 2 has got the 19-minute track of New York 1963, New York 1968, or America 1968. So that's kind of a throwaway bit there. But St. James Infirmary, Year of the Guru. This is them probably. This album is probably them at their experimental best, in my opinion. So you've got this one. Then here's where Vic Briggs drops out. And then Andy Summer, who is later with the Police, he joins up. And this is a good album, too. This is a double album. This is Eric Burdon and the Animals' Love Is. So what's great about this is they do a great cover of Ike and Tina Turner's River Deep, Mountain High. I'm an Animals on here. They do a pretty interesting version of Ring of Fire, but their cover of River Deep, Mountain High is so great. I like it better than Ike and Tina's version. At this point in time, the Animals, this new version of the Animals, they break up as well. There's rumor that during a tour of Japan, that they got a little trouble with the Yakuza. Don't know if any of that's true. That's just all speculation. So the band comes apart, they break up. The original group gets back together on and off over the years and does some stuff. But and I think Eric Burdon, I think he still tours. He's out there. He's got to be early 80s, I would say. Early 80s, and he's still out there touring. But there you have it. Little brief history of the Animals. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we'll see. I've got something in the works later. Just going to put a tease out there. A friend of mine, I won't mention him so he doesn't get harassed about this, from the vinyl community. We're going to do a retrospective on Endless Trip. Looking back on Endless Trip, looking back on, you know, how our record collections evolved and then started to devolve, as it were, based on a book. So there you have it. So we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it's soon. Bye-bye.